Hello, here we are, day 4 of A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. Now, I want to see if you guys can tell me what happens in this story. Do you think you can do it? All right, let's hear it. I heard some of you say there was a fire and they lost all their stuff and it was spoiled. And then they had to save all their money and put it into a jar. And then they got their chair. Now, I want to see if you guys remember what this chair looked like. What kind of chair was it? Was it a big chair? Was it a little chair? Was it hard or soft? What color was it? Let's read to find out. Now, tell me the story of this book again. A Chair for My Mother. There we go. All right, let's see what happens. Blue Tile Diner. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. What was a diner? Yeah, a place where you can get food that it might not cost a lot of money. After school sometimes, I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time, I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. Do you think you guys would like onion soup? I would try it. I don't know if I would like it, but I'll give it a try. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. Every time I put half of my money, where? Into the jar. Here's our word diner, a place you can get food that might not cost a lot of money. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all of her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired, she falls asleep while I count the money into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While I count, she hums. Can you hum a tune? Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas, or something she buys, she puts by the savings and then goes into the jar. What was bargain? Let's go back. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas, or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. What was a bargain? Something worth more than you paid. This is what we do. We got a bargain. We saved our money. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take all the money and go buy a chair. Talk about that chair. Tell me what kind of chair was it? That's the chair in the picture. What did they get? Yeah, good description. And they had to get the new chair because all the old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house and all the chairs burned. So did our sofa and everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. Here's the day that their house burned. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's. They're right there in the picture. Do you see them? Right there? What kind of flowers are those? Tulips? Yep. My mom said she liked the red ones, and I was saying I liked the yellow ones. And then we came to our block. Who remembers what happens? What did they see when they went around to their corner? Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. What were they yelling about when they were running? Who were they yelling for? When I said who, that means I'm asking about a person. Who were they yelling for? Grandma. They were asking for her grandma, and she was okay, right? And then what else was okay? Their cat. Their cat was okay too. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. Can't use it anymore. All their things were spoiled. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. What color did they paint the walls? Yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. Now, what happens on this page? This is a very important page because we love the word thoughtful. What happened on this one? When I look up at the pictures at the top, yeah, I see them helping the neighbors. I see them helping Rosa and her mother and her grandma. They were bringing all sorts of things over. What are some of the things you see them bringing? Yeah, look at all those things they're bringing over to help their neighbors. They were being very, very thoughtful. All that stuff happened last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home from work, her feet hurt. And what does Mama say? There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut potatoes, she has to sit on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mom brought home the biggest jar she could find to collect our coins. Now that jar, look at it. Look at that jar. It is way too heavy for me to lift. So Uncle Sandy had to come help me. And then they went here. And what happened in this page? This helps us with one of our words that we've been learning. Exchange. So what are they doing here in this room? What are they doing? Yeah. The jar got full, Mama said. Well, I never would have believed it, but it's full. So she brought home some little wrappers, and I had to wrap up the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. And I counted them all out and wrapped them up. On my Mother's Day off, we took all the coins to the bank. And we exchanged, there's our word, exchanged them for dollar bills. And then we took the bus to shop for our chair. Exchange. We gave them the coins, they give us back the bills. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs, small ones, high chairs, low chairs, soft chairs, hard chairs. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 Bears. I always thought that was kind of funny. It'd be fun to be like Goldilocks. And then we found the chair we were dreaming of. Who did they call to come help them? Because they just couldn't wait for it to be delivered. Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. Those are very important people in their lives. They tried out the chair. She got to try out the chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Mama, Grandma, and I sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with the people going by in the daytime, and Mama sits down and watches as the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. There's our story. Now, one final question I want you to think about. Now that the jar is empty, because look, they got their chair, what do you think they will do with it? What would you do with it? Can't wait to hear. Thanks for reading with me today.